everybody? Tire Metalhead Weatherman here. Hopefully everyone's doing well on this Monday night. We've been talking a little bit about what tonight's video is going to be in regards to severe weather here. And we've been kind of talking about the 9th to the 10th time frame. Well, really the 9th between the 12th, because there's still uncertainty with this. But a little earlier today, while I was at work, just kind of keeping an eye on things on the breaks in between. Day 6 slight risk has been issued now. It's a pretty broad area right now, but there's still some uncertainties with this. Like I said before on the video on Saturday night, that I was going to be going every other couple of days to kind of keep this updated here, to keep an update on what this trough ejections-esque setup is going to end up doing. And here we are on Monday with our day 6 slight risk here. So some interesting things to note to make note of in the synopsis. This is showing all hazards are possible, including tornadoes, wind, and isolated large hail. Models as of right now have been in good agreement, but there is one particular question that I've had, and one that's been kind of running rampant amongst not only the Storm Prediction Center and myself, but also the weather community in general. And that's really going to be how this trough ends up progressing here. Progression of the trough is going to be the key to everything. Timing is going to be important, as well as its orientation. Is it going to be positive? Is it still going to have that really sharp negative tilt? Is it going to start to lean a little bit more towards neutral tilt? It's not going to be positive tilt. I don't know why I was even thinking of saying that, but that's besides the point here. So here we go. We're going to look at the upper levels of the atmosphere. This is where we first started to really pick up on that trough coming in here. So here's the first step of that trough here, starting to kick in right around Friday night, actually, I should say. And then on Saturday morning, it really starts to ramp up here. I think this would be an early afternoon event. Maybe a late morning, early afternoon event, but it could last a little bit longer. I do think there could be a little bit of potential for this to shoot off to the east a bit, but I'm a little bit uncertain with that. Can't disinclude maybe parts of northern Mississippi, maybe in parts of Tennessee in play. But we're going to have to keep a close eye on this. But some things that I was talking about here, such as the negatively tilted trough here. Basically, the trough is kind of pointed in this direction here. It has that orientation, which is like a negative slope for anyone that's good with math. You know what I'm talking about. That kind of southeast to northwest orientation. If it was positively tilted, it would be the opposite way, to where the trough will be kind of pointed like this. So basically, it's like trying to do a little X plot here. Then, of course, neutral tilted is pretty much almost north to south. But that negative orientation or negatively tilted trough here is always a big tell for a really strong storm system. There's going to be some cold air coming in behind this too, and I think this collision air mass is going to help increase the lift around our area, and you'll see that more, especially as we start to drift into the lower altitude maps here. We're going from 300 to 500 millibars now, and you can already tell the difference with these contour lines. These contour lines, whenever they're tighter like this, usually that allots for more lift. And as we draw towards that day of interest, getting into that Saturday, which is the 9th, by the way, you can see that there is a big difference here between 300 and 500. A lot of lift available here. A really, almost, I would say, nicely wound low pressure tries to develop here. And on the backside of this, we have to watch for snow with this too. We'll kind of get into that probably. We might do it tomorrow. We might do it on Wednesday when we get a little bit more model data and range here, because only the OOZ and 12Z runs are available right now. I can only really look at GFS at this time. The 12Z run is almost 7 hours old at the time I'm making this video. So it's a little tough to use that, but pretty much the main point of emphasis that we have here is you can still see that negative orientation here. You can see the really well put together low pressure starting to come up here in the mid levels of the atmosphere, and also those contour lines really tightening up together, which is usually a good indication of lift. We go at 700 and you You can still see the trough, and it pretty much just translates all the way through until we get to about the 850s, which is where the low-level jet exists. The low-level jet is another area that I'm kind of on the fence about, if I'm being completely honest right now. We're moving a little slow here, but the 700 and 850s are really where I'm still kind of not on board. This is why I like to normally wait till I have a little bit more model data at my fingertips here, but really at this point all I have is the GFS right now. But like I said, you can still see that trough. Really strong mid-level low begins to emerge here right around Saturday, of course, and this is where my concern for damaging winds comes in as well, is seeing this 73 knot mid-level jet here. I see some inklings of maybe shortwave trying to kick in. It's kind of hard to say right now. If anything, it might be forming a little bit out ahead of it right now. I'm not sure if that's going to end up being the case or not. But these winter setups for severe weather are really fidgety. Usually ends up coming down to the last minute, so we're just going to keep our eyes open here and continue to update as needed. But this is a look at about 123 hours out. It's just a little bit past 5 days. You can continue to see a really strong mid-level trough, mid-level jet as well. And this is a very concerning look nonetheless in regards to severe weather. I do think that with this also will help a lot for a good moisture return, and also probably maybe even what would be almost a dryline-esque setup that's usually more common over towards the plains, not so much towards Dixie Alley, but this could be the case here. But good into the 850 area. My main thing with this, and this is what I'm a little bit on the fence about, as we look towards the 850 here, the strongest winds really seem to be a little bit further out ahead than I would expect them to be. Normally we would see this on the fringe here. It may form more so on the backside of this, but the timing is what I'm really taking note of. This is when I would expect the storms to really start to ramp up here. It's just really hard I'm just not really used to seeing this style of setup as much as I am some of the others. A lot of the times you'll see right around either in the low level jet or just out ahead of it is where we'll have that tornado threat ramped up. But if we were to go here and click on a sounding, you'll see that, look, not really having much anything, and that's on the backside of that low level jet here. I do think that they may end up shifting the day 6 area a little bit further off to the east, because look what I found here. This is me probably going just a little bit further into Mississippi, Tor sounding, but also there's a couple other things to make note of here. Cape isn't really high right now. GFS doesn't always show super high Cape values, doesn't really pick up on them as easily as some of the convective models, which we're still out of range for. But fact in the matter is that we are getting some indicators of maybe this threat moving to the east here. Like I said, it's kind of hard to say right now, being so far out, and just with the nature of the system really being dependent on factors such as the progression of the trough and much more. So as we continue to go forward here and look at the parameters, you're going to actually get to see what the frontal boundary ends up looking like as we continue to go forward here. So this is us getting into the 8th here. Here's that little warm sector beginning to develop, and we'll see this push off to the east here. There's the battle zone here. You can see right over here we're getting into the 60s, and then back behind this we're getting into the 30s. And then look what happens as we go into the afternoon. It's Saturday here. Right about here where that point of interest is, getting up to about 67, 68 degrees. So we're getting a good warm nose that begins to come into play here. My question, and another question that may come into play here, is cloud cover and also early pre-convection, or convection ahead of the what would be the severe event. If we get any sort of prefrontal convection here, would that help or hurt this setup? Because this is exactly what we ended up seeing with the enhanced risk that we had about a week ago over here towards Texas. Too much convection, we got next to nothing. So it's just really I mean, it's these little small details right here that are going to make a huge difference as to what lies ahead here. But as far as kinematics are concerned, we're looking relatively good. Like I said, I still have my questions about the 850 region, the low-level jet here, which is pretty quintessential when it comes to severe development, especially in the mode of tornadoes. But we can also see that we have like I said, almost what seems to be a dry line-esque setup here. So I do think eventually we will get some severe storms. What kind of mode they'll be in, that's going to be a big question here, because it looks like it's a pretty strong frontal boundary here, of course. So really, I really do think this is gonna come down to about the last day where we really start to get a lot more clarity here. The risk may go up, the risk may go down. It's just one of those things. Winter always seems to have that effect with these types of storm systems. It's a little bit unwise to look at the Cape values at this point, but I'm going to go ahead because why not? But if we look at the instability that's available, notice if we went back towards Sunday, we were kind of talking a little bit more towards Arkansas and Louisiana. Now we're kind of seeing it being more favorable a little further off towards Mississippi this time. And here's some better values here when we go on the sounding and the heliograph here. We have a pretty solid 0 to 3 kilometer setup here. There are some issues here. Lapse rates are mildly steep, but nothing incredible here. I do think this threat may shift more to the south and east, but I'm still uncertain about a lot of things. But Cape values, both surface and mixed layer, look really good. The downward Cape even looks good. We have other values such as the EHI and the SRH looking good, shear. Everything's looking pretty good as far as the setup is concerned, but a little bit further to the south here. So I do expect some changes to the SPC outlook within the next day, if not sooner than that. But final look at what the radar could look like right now. We're not going to get too heavy into this because we're almost 100% certain that this is going to change in some way, shape, or form. Just how much is the question. Also, make note of when this storm system begins to develop, all the mountain snow that we're getting out towards the northwest here. And then here's that low beginning to develop as we get into Friday night here. Mountain snow mainly across parts of Colorado here. This is on Friday afternoon. Maybe early Friday afternoon for this region here. And then as we get into the early morning hours of Friday, we can see this storm system really start to take shape here. Look how close the severe pocket would be here, and then just where that cold air is. Here's where I think the new chance of severe will end up being, especially a little further to the south here. Sorry if that's a crappy drawing, but this 540 line is our 32-degree line right here. So right behind where you get the severe weather, within the same day we could have within the nighttime we could have a huge temperature drop and maybe even see below freezing temperatures. Crazy to think about it, but this is what happens during the wintertime. So this is what happens as we continue to go forward here. Look at that. This is heading into Sunday morning. Same areas that have potential for severe weather end up having a frigid morning. So this shows the dynamics behind the system here. Like I said, this will be prone to updates here, so we may make an update tomorrow. We may make an update on Wednesday. It really just depends on how things trend. But anyone that found this video useful, if you enjoyed it, you know what to do. Smash that like button. If you're new, definitely hit that subscribe button. And also hit that share button too, because if things come together for this storm system, it could be a big one. But till then, please stay tuned. I'll be making updates whenever it's reasonable. It's been Metalhead Weatherman. Until then, you guys have a good night, and I'll see you soon.